Okay, the next group of notes that we're going to go over is pH. Okay, so pH is a specific chemistry topic that is really important for you to know, especially when you're dealing with clients that have sensitive scalps or different textures of hair. It's really important to know how pH affects and the pH of like your shampoo and your conditioner and all of those things affects your client's hair. So with that being said, let's talk about ions and ionization. So a lot of this stuff is kind of beyond the scope of what you need to know. However, in order to have a better understanding of pH and how it works, we do have to talk a little bit about this. So I'm going to talk about ions and ionization, and then your work for tomorrow is going to go into a little bit more in depth of the auto-ionization of water. So ions are, and you've probably heard this term before, ions are an atom or a molecule that carries an electrical charge. So what that means is it's going to either be a positive charge or a negative charge, not neutral. So if we look at the example here, we have sodium, okay? Sodium has one electron. So these guys floating around are the electrons, okay? This one right here is going to be lost from sodium. So as I go from here to here, you'll notice that there is no longer that electron. Now, I want you to think about, you're like, well, it lost something. Why is it becoming positive? Okay. You have to realize that you are losing a negative charge, right? And think about what happens in math class when you subtract a negative. What do? You add them, right? It becomes positive. And that's exactly what's happening in this chemistry. As you lose an electron, you become positive, right? So if you gain an electron, that means that you're going to become negative, okay? So ionization is the separation of an atom or a molecule into positive and negative ions, okay? So let's look at this. If I have two water molecules here, this is just a chemical reaction arrow saying I'm going from here and I'm making this, okay? What ends up happening here is this water gains an H from here. So since it's gaining the H, it becomes positive, okay? And then since the H came off of this one, it becomes negative. And I want you to think about it in this term. Hydrogen is an atom that just has one proton, okay? It just has one proton. It doesn't have any electrons, okay? Or it has one electron, I'm sorry. So what's happening here is when I remove a positive here, the molecule as a whole becomes negative. And when I add a hydrogen here, the whole molecule becomes positive. Okay, so let's talk about an anion and a cation. So an anion is an ion with a negative charge, so when it gains an electron, and a cation is an ion with a positive charge, when it gives away electrons. So that means right here, since calcium is +2, that means it lost or gave 2 electrons. Where here, fluorine is negative, which means that it gained 1 electron. So this is what I was just talking about. This is the auto-ionization of water. You'll have a more in-depth lecture on this tomorrow, so I'm going to skip over this. And now we can kind of talk about the pH scale. So the pH scale is the measure of the acidity and alkalinity of a substance. You may also hear for alkalinity the term base. So an acid and a base, okay? Those two terms, alkalinity and base, are interchangeable. They mean the same thing. The pH scale, so since it's a scale, we're going to have like numbers from 1 to right? So the range of the pH scale is 0 to 14. And you can't have anything outside of that. Anything that is below 7, so 1 through 6 right here, is going to be considered acidic, where anything above 7 is going to be considered an alkaline, or a base, okay? And then 7 is where we're going to be neutral, so something that is neither an acid or a base. Okay, acid-alkali neutralization reactions, or we can also say acid-base neutralization reactions. So you may have seen this before on shampoos. Neutralizing shampoos and normalizing lotions are used to neutralize hair relaxers, right? So if you've ever been somebody that's gotten your hair relaxed before, they put a chemical on it, and that chemical is not a 7 pH, right? So in order to get your hair back to a normal, healthy state, they have to add a neutralizing shampoo to that hair relaxer. And that's it.